It's me.
Marquis D.
Okay then, it's the 5th of April 2010 and it's Raw vs TNA. TNA got destroyed in the ratings last week, so Spike TV have decided that they're starting the show an hour earlier this week. Luckily I've got both shows recorded. I can still watch them head to head. Tonight I was still crossing my fingers that Eric Bischoff doesn't appear too much on the show, because I've agreed to do a shot every time he appeared on the screen. Last week he appeared on the telly for 11 minutes in total all over the show, and it was terrible. Well, guess what? It turns out he's not actually on the show this week. I'm not going to let myself off that easily though. I'm going to do a shot every time something stupid happens, so wish me luck. The TNA show starts out this week with Christy Hemme talking about the TNA Lockbox Challenge that's happening later on tonight. All the knockouts will be competing to win. The prizes up for grabs tonight will be the TNA Knockouts Championship, Tara's Spider, having to do a striptease, and an open contract to fight whichever knockout they want to do. Wow, someone can win the TNA Knockouts title in a lucky draw from a box? Great, I'm drinking already. The beautiful people said they're going to win all the boxes, and Lacey Von Erich said she's still looking forward to having to do a striptease later on. Oh god, now Hulk Hogan's music hits, there's usually something stupid that happens around him. I have to admit I'm quite happy that I'm safe this week. Without Eric Bischoff on the show, I won't have to drink as much. Hogan comes out to hype that at Lockdown it'll be Team Hogan taking on Team Flair in a cage match. Jeff Jarrett was added to Team Hogan last week. The commentary team say Eric Bischoff will not be here tonight. Pretty good promo by Abyss to be fair. This brings Ric Flair out to the ringside, who's in his pushchair as usual with Chelsea. He's then joined by Desmond Wolfe, Sting and Beer Money. What a random group of wrestlers together. I guess this is going to be Flair's team at Lockdown. Flair brags about how good his team members are. He then brings up his Hall of Fame ring and makes fun of Abyss for having Hogan's Hall of Fame ring. Hogan says they'll be finding out the other team members tonight. Flair's face is so red here he looks like a squashed tomato. Jeff Jarrett then asks Sting to step into the ring and answer some questions. Jarrett asks Sting why he's turned to the dark side. Well, I was wondering that too, it's pretty random. Nothing's ever really been explained since he battered RVD weeks ago. Sting doesn't really answer the question, so Jarrett slaps him. The bad guys spill into the ring and corner Hulk Hogan. Desmond Wolfe has a chance to nail Hulk Hogan with a baseball bat, but he doesn't do it. That's definitely a drink. RVD and Jeff Hardy then run out to make the save. It looks like these two guys will be joining Team Hogan at Lockdown. Then there's an impromptu match as it's RVD versus James Storm. Don't worry Storm, you'll be back in the bar in less than 5 minutes time. RVD is completely dominating, kicking Storm to the outside. Storm does manage to turn it around briefly and slams RVD onto the barricade. Storm then DDTs RVD back into the ring for a close 2 count. Storm then suplexes RVD and does the Beer Money chant all on his own. Man, Storm's awesome. RVD then fights back and reverses a kick into a close 2 and follows it up with another kick. Both men then trade punches in the middle of the ring, and then RVD kicks him again. RVD then hits the Rolling Thunder but is still unable to pin James Storm. Storm then hits a jumping enziguri and follows it up with the Eye of the Storm for a close 2 count. This is actually quite a good back and forth match. Storm then eats another kick. Man, he better hope he has dental insurance, because TNA ain't going to pay for it. RVD then hits James Storm with a split-legged moonsault and pins him for the free. RVD is happily celebrating, but then Storm smashes over the head with a beer bottle. Storm then tries to beat on RVD, but the security drag him away. Storm taunts RVD with the RVD finger point taunt and says, "Beer money." Hardy then attacks Storm and tries to help RVD. Rude then runs in and hits the double R spinebuster on Hardy. Wow, this is a good start to the show, I'm impressed. And Kurt Angle is taking on Anderson in the main event ladder match tonight. Only 2 drinks so far, not too bad so far. I wonder if Raw can top this. Over on Raw, the first person we see is Jack Swagger. Swagger cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase over on SmackDown, beating Chris Jericho to become the World Heavyweight Champion. He comes out looking a bit less goofy than normal, but I'm still not forgetting how stupid he looked last week on Raw when he tried to cash in on Cena and got scared. Swagger gets on the mic and said that the only reason he cashed in on Chris Jericho instead of Cena is because Jericho is better than Cena, and beating Jericho makes him look better in return. He also says he's now going to be on SmackDown instead of Raw. Good, go there then, get off the screen. Swagger is sweating buckets, all he's done is talk. What's wrong with him? I've never been so happy to see WWE Champion John Cena interrupting him. Cena says that everybody is glad that Swagger is leaving Raw. He then makes fun of how Swagger is sweating. I beat you to it, Cena. Cena then calls him a weasel and challenges him to a match tonight for the WWE Championship. They are then interrupted by Randy Orton, who's on a mini winning streak. Orton challenges Swagger, but they are then interrupted by Sheamus. Miz accuses them of trying to steal the spotlight as usual, and then proceeds to try and steal it himself. Then some music that I've never heard hits, and it's David Otonga from NXT. He comes out to dead silence. He has Raw shaved into his hair like he's some 14-year-old child. For some reason he's the special guest host tonight and makes the matches of Swagger vs Orton and Sheamus against Batista and Cena. Orton then tries to RKO Cena, but Cena pushes him away and RKOs Swagger instead. Man, Swagger's been the champion for 2 minutes, he's already a complete joke. Let's get back to drinking. Back on TNA, Tara is sulking because her belt and her spider are both on the line in the match tonight. And to be honest, it is stupid and a bit unfair on her. Angelina then butts in and says that she'll win tonight. ODB then butts in and said they've both got PMS and screw the knocked up title. Instead, she wants to win an open contract so she can fight AJ's booty. Hamada then shrugs. It seems that she's doing a stereotypical Asian gimmick and can't speak English. That's a drink. The title is on the line next and it's Homicide challenging Rob Terry. Never have I wanted a man to win a match more than this. I don't think we've seen Homicide on this series since he got stuck trying to climb up the little red cage. Rob Terry throws Homicide around and Homicide can't do anything to hurt Rob Terry. Rob then press slams Homicide and follows it up with a front power slam for the 3. Rob Terry and his awful haircut are still the TV champions. Drink. After the match, Homicide hits Rob Terry with a steel chair in the back and then smashes him in the face with the steel chair, but nothing happens. Rob Terry then chokeslams him and blood starts to trickle down his head. He's then interrupted. Orlando Jordan's music hits, and he appears in the burlesque mask with cream all over him yet again. It's pointless, and I can't stand it like last week. Drink. Backstage, the beautiful people are acting like porn stars. Apparently this Knockouts match is a tag team match. It's Tara, Angelina, ODB and Hamada versus the beautiful people in Daphne. Taz makes fun of Hamada for not speaking English. Madison Rayne beats up on Tara and does her special facebuster. Tara then drags her off the top and nails the Widow's Peak. Tara's won a key and doesn't need to compete in the match anymore and she rolls out the ring. Then there's an elimination during the advert break because Hamada missed the moonsault and then Daphne hit her with a diamond cutter to score a 3 and win a key. Taz then starts making fun of WCW pole matches and said let's put Dave Penza on a pole. Taz seems to be in an extra humorous mood tonight. Drink. ODB then hits a fall away slam on Velvet for a 2 count. You know, this might not seem great, but it's mad to think that this is actually better than what the WWE Divas are serving up right now. Velvet then hits a DDT on ODB to pin her for the 3. Lacey and Angelina then start fighting. Lacey tries to go for a moonsault but misses, and then Angelina hits the lights out to pin her for the 3. No surprises there. I guess Lacey won't be getting her wish to do a striptease tonight then. The match is over and they start to show the 4 prizes that are up for grabs. Sounds like they're waiting to the end of the show to reveal who's won what. Apparently the ladder match is up next and the prize reveal will be in the main event instead of the ladder match. Don't ask me why. Back on Raw, Kofi Kingston is coming out. The commentary team say that he's still basking in the glow of WrestleMania. Pretty sure he lost. He's taken on Sheamus, who attacked Triple H last week with a pipe, whilst he was trying to bid farewell to Shawn Michaels. Sheamus with a nice backbreaker that silences the crowd early on. Kofi then fires back with a kick and then a crossbody to wake up the crowd. Then he bounces off the ropes and hits a dropkick. Sheamus then fights back with 2 brogue kicks and a razor's edge and pins him for the 3. He then heads out of the ring and grabs a pipe, and then he whacks Kofi over the head with it. Triple H is then seen stomping backstage. There's a hilarious sign in the crowd that says Ronald McDonald. Sheamus then gets on the mic to make fun of Shawn Michaels and point out that it only took him 6 months to win his first world title. Sheamus says that he's still sulking about losing to Triple H at WrestleMania. He also makes fun of Triple H for crying last week. This brings out Triple H, who's a little bit wary to get in the ring at first while Sheamus is wielding a pipe. The game then pulls out a sledgehammer and smacks Sheamus in the stomach with it. Triple H goes for it again and Sheamus dodges and escapes through the crowd. The game then calls him a silly Irishman and stomps off. Apparently it's a dress to impress battle royal with all the divas up next. Just like every week, all the divas in the same match. The winner of this match will get a title shot against Maryse. Maryse is on commentary for this match, and this is the highlight. Maryse says that Kelly looks like she's from the 80s and looks like she wants to go to a school prom. She also says that Gail Kim looks like a peacock. This is actually quite entertaining. The divas take turns walking out and then Maryse rips them to shreds. It's like when Scott Steiner was an announcer on TNA.
Hailing from Dunkin' Donuts!
She says that Eve Torres is the worst of the night and laughs about how bad she looks. This match is just a battle royal, but they don't need to go over the top rope. Kelly eliminates 2 divas at once, including Gail Kim. It comes down to Eve Torres, Jillian and Alicia, who team up on Eve. Alicia then makes a mistake and is thrown out. Alicia then tries to pull Eve out of the ring and Jillian thinks she's been eliminated, but she actually hasn't, and throws her out to win the match. To be fair, Eve has been booked consistently during this series. She normally wins her matches, it's just that the matches are terrible. At least Maryse on commentary made this hilarious. Next up, there's a hype promo about how good David Otunga is. He says he's a combination of The Rock, Triple H and John Cena. Can't say that with a straight face. He then calls himself the It Factor. Bobby Roode stole his gimmick. He's then backstage with some goons talking about how good he is. One of them looks like just incredible. Apparently David Otonga is such a star that they've made him an entire bowl of green M&Ms. Santino Marella then interrupts and asks where the A-team is at, and starts doing impressions of Mr. T. Hornswoggle is then showed eating the M&Ms, and then the goons all chase him away. Embarrassing. Let's switch back to TNA. Back on TNA, the ladder match is up next. Good, I won't need to keep drinking for a while. The winner of this match will be the one who retrieves the key for the cage at Lockdown. Lots of keys on this show tonight. Anderson comes out first. He's been feuding with Angle for a couple of months at this point, and it's been extremely personal, with Anderson attacking Kurt Angle with his Warrior medal and bloodying him on several occasions. Angle comes out and he looks really ready. This is going to be a good one, folks. Anderson brings the ladder into the match early on and suplexes Kurt back first onto the ladder. He then realises Angle isn't hurt enough yet and tries to throw Angle onto the ladder again, but Angle reverses it into an overhead belly to belly onto the ladder. Damn! Angle and Anderson start fighting around the ladder and Anderson pushes it into Kurt's head. Taz says you've got to be violent in a ladder match. Yeah, thank you, Captain Obvious. Anderson tries to climb the ladder, but Angle catches him with the Angle Slam. It looks like this one's over. Angle climbs this ladder like he's been in a 30-minute match, and this allows Anderson to recover and push Kurt off the ladder and over the top rope. The crowd are swearing so loudly here that the production crew has to mute them. Back in the ring, Anderson has almost secured the key, but then Angle flies out of nowhere with a missile dropkick at Anderson. Kurt then drags Anderson on top of the ladder. He beats him down and spits in his face. Man, this feud is brutal. Angle then climbs onto the top rope and wow! Angle hits a moonsault onto Anderson on top of the ladder. Beautiful. Kurt then throws Anderson into the ring post. The camera slowly pans to show Mr. Anderson spotting Kurt's Warrior medal. In the meantime, Kurt Angle is climbing the ladder. Anderson runs up behind him and starts choking him out with the Warrior medal. He still manages to keep climbing the ladder, but he's turning purple from the pain and lack of oxygen. Eventually, Kurt Angle passes out and falls from the ladder. Anderson scrambles up to the top of the ladder to grab the key and win the match. Wow, that match wouldn't have looked out of place on a pay-per-view. Anderson now has the advantage at Lockdown. As Anderson's walking off, he shows off the key. It's attached to a piece of wood that says cage key on it. Gee, thanks for that. Anderson walks off and celebrates. Backstage, Jeremy Borash is interviewing Hulk Hogan about everything that Bischoff did on TV last week. Hogan refuses to talk about it, and then Bubba the Love Sponge walks up. Hogan asks Bubba why he's hanging around with the band. Hogan says that he brought Bubba the Love Sponge into TNA to help them out. How is this fat greaseball supposed to help TNA? This is ridiculous. I'm drinking for that. Bubba the Love Sponge says that he's enjoying hanging around with the band much more than Hulk Hogan. Jay Lethal then walks up, talking about the mega powers. Oh, I'm gonna have to drink, aren't I? And Hogan looks like he can't wait for Jay Lethal to stop annoying him. Let's drink and switch back to Raw. Sheamus are up next. Apparently this match will be for the tag titles. I didn't hear them say that earlier on. They are taking on John Cena and his partner is Batista. They're not exactly friends and it's doubtful that they will be able to get on in this match. Batista doesn't actually want to be there. Sheamus beat up on Cena early on for a while, and then when Cena eventually tries to tag out Batista, he drops down and runs off. Cena gets angry and chases Batista away and starts hitting him on the ramp, but Batista carries on walking off. Cena is then counted out and looks livid about this. God, chill out, John. Did you really want to be the tag champion with Batista? Your mortal enemy? A complete waste of time. David Otonga then comes out and says that Sheamus aren't getting off that easily, and tonight they will be taking on Cena and himself in a match. Great. Ted DiBiase Jr. is out next, who's on a bit of a losing run and lost last week to Christian. After the match, he pushed his dad. Ted has the $1 million title with him tonight for the first time ever. Jr. grabs the mic and says that he pushed his dad because he's a bad father. He then brags about how much money he has. Christian is his opponent tonight. Christian is clearly on top early on and hits a nice dive over the top to the outside. Ted turns it around with a hard clothesline that almost gets a 3 count. Christian fights back with a top rope crossbody. This match is an even back and forth contest. Christian then goes for the Umbrella, but Ted DiBiase manages to reverse it into Dream Street, but can't hit that either. Christian then rolls him up for a close 2 count. Christian is then sent shoulder first into the corner and Ted DiBiase Jr. is able to hit Dream Street and cover him for the 3. It looks like his losing run is finally over. Good for him. Now let's change the channel.
Lord, X rednecks.
Back on TNA, the band have just arrived at the building. Cutting it a bit fine, aren't you guys? The show's almost over. Oh well, at least you've just showed up. Oh great, Bubba's with them again. Christy Hemme is then backstage interviewing Matt Morgan about kicking Hernandez into a pole a couple of weeks ago. Matt Morgan says that Hernandez is no longer a tag team champion and starts referring to himself in the third person as the sole tag team champion. Oh great, I forgot about this stupid gimmick. Matt Morgan is the sole tag team champion. We are the champion. Stupid. Drink. Oh look, it's the Motor City Machine Guns. Yay, a girl who looks like a Russian Viking is going nuts in the crowd for the machine guns. Go on guys, you finally got a ring wrap. Looks like all the advice Kevin Nash gave you early on in your career is finally paying off, Shelley. The Guns are taking on Team 3D in a number 1 contenders tag match. Mike Tenay says that this is a return match because nothing was settled last time. When did they fight last time? I swear I don't remember it. Drink. Bubba Ray is dominating the small men early on and then tags in Devon, who hits a diving headbutt. Chris Sabin gets the tag and he finally takes Team 3D down with a kick from the top, and then the machine guns start dominating and being awesome. Machine guns start hitting their finishing move from the top, but Devon kicks out of this. They then get battered from behind and Team 3D hit the what's up. Team 3D then go to get the tables. Suddenly Six-Pack slams Devon into the ring post and Nash hits Ray with some brass knuckles. The referee then throws the match out. Six-Pack hits the X Factor in the middle of the ring. A man with a red headband who looks like Elvis then hits the Razor's Edge. He doesn't need any help this time though. Nash then hits a clothesline. You thought he was going to hit the jackknife? Nope, not for free. You've got to catch the pay-per-view to see a jackknife. The band then spray the Guns with spray paint, and the band are refusing to leave the ring. Bubba the Love Sponge then comes out to join them. His glasses make him look like a sex offender. Nash then gets on the mic and says that they are running the show. The one who looks like Elvis has a top on that says West Memphis Fire Department. I've looked this up and this is not a legit clothing brand, so why is he wearing it? Drink. Nash threatens Hulk Hogan and says that he's got bigger things to worry about than Ric Flair. X-Pac then says they are the Bubba Army. I thought you were the band, make your mind up. Backstage, Jeremy Borash is interviewing the Pope. The Pope is the number 1 contender for the world title, but I'd forgive you if you've forgotten about that. He talks about how he lost to Desmond Wolfe last week and says that he's gonna get revenge tonight on Desmond Wolfe and Chelsea. Desmond Wolfe then walks up to Pope and calls him the Poop. Wolfe says that he doesn't know why they are wrestling again. Well, he has a fair point. They then make a deal that if Wolfe can win against Pope tonight, he will become the number 1 contender. Tara is backstage worrying about if she'll win the belt or a spider tonight. The X Division champion Doug Williams is out next. Do you know what? This show feels a bit jumbled up tonight. Doug gets on the mic and says that the days of the trampoline high-flying wrestlers in the X Division are over, and they need to go back to the circus, or alternatively go back to wrestling school, to learn how to be technical wrestlers like him. Doug says that he's the king of technical wrestling, and from now on he needs to be referred to by his full name, Douglas Williams. I thought we already did that. Tonight he has challenged both members of the Young Bucks to a gauntlet match. Douglas Williams starts off with Jeremy Buck and almost loses straight away to a moonsault. Douglas Williams then pokes him in the eye. Jeremy then goes for yet another moonsault but misses, and Douglas Williams hits the rolling Chaos Theory suplex to beat Jeremy in about 2 minutes. Wow, how things have changed, Jesus. Max is up next now and he's a house on fire. Max then hits a leg drop but it's not as good as the Hawksters.
Sorry to interrupt, brother, but the Hulk Hogan Show, episode 2 and 3 are live on Patreon. So make sure you sign up, brother, or you won't get a taste of the Hawksters' leg drop of doom.
Sorry, what was I saying? Oh yeah. He only gets a 2 count with this. Douglas then kicks him off the top rope and catches him in a guillotine submission and taps him out, also in less than 2 minutes. He refuses to let go and Jeff Hardy's stoner friend runs out to make the save. He's not actually the number 1 contender, so why is he bothering? Go away. Then he gets on the mic and says that there's no room in the X Division for boring wrestlers like Douglas Williams. I don't agree with this. He says Douglas Williams should grow some balls and give him a shot for the title at the pay-per-view. Look, you've had your chance, Shannon, and you got hit with a brick, so back off. Let's change the channel back to the Red brand. On the Red brand, they're advertising that next week there'll be a draft. Oh great, looks like TNA's in trouble then. There is a 5-minute recap of Shawn Michaels' career, so sorry if I haven't got much to say here. Swagger comes out next looking much more goofy than earlier on. His opponent tonight will be Randy Orton. Swagger hits a nice throw on Orton early on, but Orton fights back with some uppercuts. Swagger then knocks Orton off the ring apron into the ring barrier. Swagger then hits a back suplex for a close 2 and then another suplex for a close 2. Orton seems to be struggling a bit here. Swagger then eventually works the abdominal stretch for a while until Orton fights out, chucks him out the ring. As Swagger comes back into the ring, Orton catches him with the DDT from the ropes. That's the second time we've seen that move tonight. Orton then builds up some momentum and hits the backbreaker. Orton starts gritting his teeth and preparing to hit the RKO, but Swagger reverses it with a kick. Orton manages to kick out of this kick, but then Swagger follows it up with a splash in the corner, and then another splash. Orton's in real trouble here. Swagger thinks he can get the win, but he can't, and then he lifts Orton up and tries to hit the gut-wrench powerbomb, but Orton reverses it and nails him with the RKO. Orton wins the match, and Swagger has been punked out by Orton twice in one show. I think we can see why Jack Swagger never made it. I don't actually want to switch back to TNA, I'm dying a bit here, but I'll do it for you guys. I can't drink much more. Back on the TNA show, Team 3D are moaning about the band attacking them. They challenge them to a match next week on Impact. Back in the ring, Desmond Wolfe is there, but he doesn't get his entrance shown. Pope heads out. This match is for the number 1 contendership for the world title. Wolfe meets Pope on the ramp but gets knocked over and thrown back into the ring. Wolfe fights back with a flying hammerlock and tries to hit the Tower of London from the top rope, but Pope reverses it. Pope then shows a bit of his boxing past and floors Desmond Wolfe. This looks like a legit knockout. Pope then runs at Wolfe and hits the DDE, the D'Angelo De Niro Express. Wolfe sells it well and it looks brutal. But this is what I'm talking about. Wolfe lost to Pope in 2 minutes here. Pope is then celebrating and he's jumped by the world champion AJ Styles. AJ Styles then hits the Styles Clash, and then the idiot Abyss waddles out to make the save. Wolfe tries to jump on Abyss and then Abyss gets chop blocked. Wolfe then hits Abyss with a fire extinguisher. Team Flair have really battered Team Hogan tonight. We're on to the last part of the TNA show now, thank God. It'll be the reveal of the Knockouts lock boxes. Velvet gets a massive reaction from the fans. Velvet opens her box first. The fans are all hoping it's going to be the striptease box, but they are let down, however, as Velvet wins the open contract for a fight. Tara is up next. Her Spider and her world title are both on the line. Tara opens the box and her Spider is in the box. She's absolutely ecstatic to win her Spider back. Borash tells Tara that she's no longer the Knockouts champion. She looks surprised. The remaining 2 Knockouts then open their boxes at the same time. Angelina Love wins the TNA Knockouts title and Daphne has to perform a striptease. Angelina Love won the Knockouts title for a random raffle and then she celebrates like she's won the lottery. Tara looks absolutely livid about this. Jeremy Borash then informs Daphne that she's not allowed to leave and forces her to go to the ring to do her striptease. Daphne looks like a leprechaun this week, but she certainly doesn't have the luck of the Irish. Daphne stands in the ring looking annoyed. She acts like she's gonna do the striptease but doesn't really seem into it. There's horrible slow repetitive jazz music playing the whole entire time. This is so embarrassing and awkward to watch. For 2 minutes, Daphne stands in the middle of the ring slowly moving her clothes around. Lacey Von Erich then runs out to the ring and hits Daphne with the ugly stick. She takes off her robe so she can perform her striptease instead. The cameraman decides to pan off of her and instead focus on Tara and Angelina who are arguing. Why would you do that? The two then brawl into the ring and Lacey is completely unaware of what's going on. She's bouncing around and still trying to do her striptease while they fight. Velvet Sky then gets on the mic and says that no beautiful person is allowed to upstage the other, and the fans then think that Velvet's going to join in with the striptease, but she doesn't, and instead she says that she'll be cashing in her open contract on Angelina Love next week in a leather and lace match. Tara then randomly hits Lacey Von Erich. The show ends. Good. Over to the last part of Raw now. They advertise that David Hasselhoff will be the guest host of Raw next week, and they say that he is the most popular man in England. This simply isn't true. Sheamus come back out to take on Cena and David Otonga for the unified tag belts. This whole show is built around trying to make a star out of David Otonga, so let's see if they're successful. He starts out knocking Miz over a few times. Once again, Sheamus isolate John Cena. Can Otonga be Cena's hero in this match? There's eventually a double down from a clothesline and Cena has his chance to tag out. Cena tries to make the tag, but then David Otonga refuses the tag and jumps away. Big Show then smacks Cena and pins him for the 3. Batista then comes out and picks Cena's lifeless body up to cripple him with the Batista bomb. Kind of a bad week for John Cena. Batista then grabs a microphone and the camera cuts to David Otonga, who gets on the mic and says that Batista has something to say. Well, obviously, he just picked up the microphone, we could all see he had something to say. Batista then says they'll be doing a rematch at Extreme Rules for the title, and it will be a last man standing match. So that's it for another week. Thank God. So what are my thoughts? If I can manage to put them into words. A trend I've noticed from doing these videos is how Raw will feature just a very few wrestlers and build everything up carefully, sometimes too much, whilst TNA will feature 100 wrestlers on the show each week, and the cameramen must earn their living running all over the Impact Zone trying to cover all the footage. TNA is definitely more chaotic, and if you blink you might miss something. This TNA show was a lot better than last week. The TNA knockout stuff aside, we got Storm and Hardy and Angle vs Anderson. Both good matches. There was a lot more wrestling than promos, and the Hawkster was kept to a minimum, with Eric Bischoff not on the show at all. Don't get too excited though, he's back next week apparently. Raw was also better than last week, much more action. The show is still missing buzz, and Swagger is still a terrible champion. The Batista-Cena feud is decent at least. The David Otonga stuff was stupid, and it was basically just used as a device to forward the storyline between Batista and Cena. Okay, let's check the ratings for this week. So, on to Raw. They got a 3.15. It's massively down on last week. What's going on there? Probably because it was a boring show last week. There isn't too much going on Raw right now. TNA, let's check them out. Well, they got a 0.9. Wow, that surprises me. That's pleasant. That's their highest rating since March 15th. Starting an hour earlier probably did help them. They also advertised Angle vs Anderson in a ladder match in advance. A glimmer of hope for TNA perhaps? Well, maybe not because Eric Bischoff is back next week. Anyway, I'm done. I'm going to sleep this off.
Make sure you subscribe, because when the girls see the hawk, the girls start to talk.